The Arizona Cardinals had a day off. They were back on the practice field on Thursday, but were our biggest fears unlocked? Marvin Harrison Jr. was not out there. Let's pump the brakes. What's the latest on the Cardinals' biggest playmaker, Johnny Venerable, in studio? My God.
He's, Marv's fine. Everything's fine. Nothing to see here except for PHNX Cardinals starting now. Hey, welcome in. Live from Studio K, presented by our friends at Circle K. Hey, I'm here in Studio K. It's the PHNX Cardinals podcast, your premier #1 Arizona Cardinal podcast. Subscribe. Leave us a 5-star wherever you get your programming. No, this is not D-backs. This is the #1 Arizona Cardinal podcast in the world. I'm Johnny Venerable. He's Brack. We were just out in Glendale Cardinals camp. We're back here in studio. Noah Man behind the mic. Feeling good, my guy.
Feeling great. Look, Diamondbacks are sellers now. The team that you should be buying, Arizona Cardinals.
I like that.
Right? Hope springs eternal every August before the preseason, of course, the kickoff of the regular season. Hope everybody's having a great Thursday. We got a big 3 shows here in a row on tap for you. That's right. In the next 3 days, PHNX Cardinals on your smartphone, wherever you actually consume this product. Mr. Fat Gangster, Chris, Big Bird 92, BP, Jeremy Bailey, love the avatar. How about Kojo Nation? Shaft, saw him out there today. It was great to see Shaft.
Love you, Shaft.
Trying to get him squared away in the Discord. We got him set up in the chat. Fantastic. And excited to see everybody. But we start with a little somber conversation a little bit, but not the most.
Everything's fine.
Yeah, it's just we were robbed of a Marv day. That's all.
Today is July 31st. They don't play a game until September. There's going to be days like this leading up to the season. There are every year. We were reminiscing about Colt McCoy once upon a time pointing during practice. Marv didn't practice today.
I'd pass to you.
Marv,
that's what we do.
Yeah, Marv didn't practice today.
Psst, I'm gonna throw it to you.
That's right. It was disappointing when Marv didn't practice today. And here's Jonathan Gannon on his top receiver.
Marv will not be out there today.
What's going on with Marv?
A little bit of soreness.
What about the Austrian kid?
We're still kind of running some tests. A little bit of soreness in his neck. That's Val.
What body part with Marv?
Knee.
Nothing to see here. Gannon alluded to it multiple times that he's fine. It's precautionary.
Yeah.
He's okay. He has caught maybe 1,000 balls in a week span. I mean, listen, I'm not surprised he's sore. He has been, along with Trey McBride, the focal point. I mean, Trey McBride's not running routes like Marv. McBride's underneath, and Marv's running deep routes pretty consistently, which is great to see. So nothing to be alarmed at yet. You saw Marvin Harrison Jr. on the field. I didn't see him while we were out there, and no wrap on his knee. He looked fine.
Yeah, he did. Maybe, you know what? I can get this picture to Noah. We can get a glimpse of the Cardinals' top playmaker here before we get out of here on the show. But yeah, it was towards the tail end of the practice.
Yeah.
And I just look at the far side of the field, and I see big 6'4" wide receiver Marvin Harrison Jr. Yeah, just wearing shorts. Nothing on either one of his knees. We haven't confirmed, which one it is. I don't think it's even worth really tapping into that information unless things escalate. But according to the head coach, nothing to see here so far. Just soreness, and being super cautious with it is fine. The only thing it does really, Johnny, is it puts a fear in your heart as far as what would it be like without Marvin Harrison Jr. And that seems like a harsh reality as far as we talk about the offensive ecosystem where it's Trey McBride, it's Marvin Harrison Jr., it's that stout run game, it's Kyler Murray. You take that playmaking potentially on the outside out, then you think, okay, I like Zay Jones, who you talked to JG about today, but, you got to narrow the gap a little bit. The margin's pretty wide.
Yeah, and again, we talked about this ad nauseum throughout the offseason and why we opened up conversations about T. Higgins and maybe a second or third round receiver. I love Michael Wilson. We had Michael Wilson as the primary receiver in 2023, right? And I think Michael's going to have a good year. This offense, if you lose Marvin Harrison Jr., you might as well just chalk it up to 13 personnel all day, every day, which is not a reality I want to live in.
Right.
And, I know they can win games against bad teams like that. For the Cardinals to get to that next level, they need Marv at his best. So again, this is all premature. He's fine. He's going to play. I don't know. People are asking us if he's going to play ahead of Saturday for the red and white practice. If you're thinking about coming out with your family, it's a great event that the Cardinals put on every year for free. You had a good kind of theory today, basically like probably dresses for it and maybe he runs around a little bit, maybe. Yeah. But again, he could come out tomorrow and practice fully. We have no idea. But I would just take this as he is going to hopefully get more targets this year. He's put on weight. He's got some soreness, and he'll be back in a couple of days.
Yeah. I mean, if we ramp up practice tomorrow, which is going to be a higher tempo practice, and you're putting the pads back on, then that's a tremendous sign. If it gets to Saturday and they're still being super cautious, that still doesn't mean, hey, let's panic. His at the start of the season or his preparation for the season is going to get in jeopardy. Like Marvin Harrison Jr. is going to be good to go. He's going to put in the side work, regardless of if he's going to be available to actually take the reps in practice. So it's a little bit, it did raise eyebrows. It did kind of, get people a little concerned, but for Jonathan Gannon to come right out with that and then follow up and then see Marvin Harrison Jr., it all bodes well, I think, for the near future of Marv.
Put it into these kind of terms. You'd rather have it go down like this than like, oh, Marv left practice today.
Yeah.
And he was hobbling with a knee. He's got no hitch in his giddy up. He's fine. I'm sure his knee is just a little tender from excessive workload. I mean, the guy's been training like an animal, and now he's playing, getting live bullets for the first time in, since February of last year, January. And so now it's like, okay, we're going to ramp this up a little bit more, and his volume is going to increase. So anytime that happens, I remember Trey McBride missed camp, a couple of years ago. Yeah. Was that Gannon's first year?
Yeah,
it was Gannon's first year when Trey McBride had a damn good season, and Trey missed like 2 or 3 weeks of training camp.
Yeah.
And he was in there with the starters, albeit with Zach Ertz. The year before that, we talked to Jeff Rogers today. It's funny, he reminisced about it, that he was playing special teams, and he was clearly behind on the depth chart. He was inactive week 1. So, as you ramp up these guys' role and production, I get it. Marv was the X receiver last year, but he was not a priority. This year, clearly, it's a different ball game. So, I mean, he's going to have to maintain, his health, obviously, and his body to get him ready for the regular season, a rigorous regular season of 17 games. I think right now, he's fine, and I think he'll probably be back at practice sooner rather than later. He's not going to play in the preseason. None of them do. So, again, we're looking at New Orleans as the big ticket. First of all, Marv has been the co-MVP of training camp. He's got nothing left to prove.
Right.
Now you just want to continue to, iron sharpens iron with he and Will Johnson, especially that rapport with Kyler Murray.
Yeah. Yeah, you want to see that rapport get as much work in. Obviously, that's the best case scenario to ramp up towards the regular season, because you knew how pivotal that connection is going to be for this offense that's running it back personnel-wise, playmaking or play calling wise, from last season to this season. So it's not ideal that you would take them out. I think there's a couple checkpoints you can look forward to. You can set them. Obviously tomorrow we'll see. Saturday they'll have a day off on Sunday. If he isn't back by Monday, that's when you're like, okay, maybe this is just more than soreness. But let's not get 2 steps ahead here.
Again, nothing on his knee, no brace, no sleeve, nothing. So, again, is that the case if it's something's, if there's severity? That is not the case, right? Like Walter Nolen, for instance, who we'll talk about later in the show, has like a compression sock on the calf that he injured. That's going to put him out a month. Marv doesn't have anything like that. So again, I think it's just wear and tear of a training camp, and this is the highest level. These are the top 1%ers. He's got an increased workload, and he'll be back. So yeah, selfishly, we went out to practice, and you want to see Marv, but I do want to bring up this because I think it's an easy transition. It's like, what's the Cardinals offense look like? It looks like Zay Jones is starting. It looks like Zay Jones and Michael Wilson with Trey McBride. And it's tough to look back at last year's training camp because all of our attention was on Marv. And all of our attention was on Kyler Murray, who was coming back to play his first full season under JG after his injury. Zay Jones had a very good training camp last year. And people laugh at that because it's this journeyman receiver. He was a second-round pick once upon a time. Didn't have great stats. He had a great training camp. And then it came out that he was going to be suspended for 5 weeks. But the Cardinals said that they knew that before they signed him. So, again, I think they wanted to play him. He got suspended. They had to adjust clearly. And then you look at the rest of the year, the Cardinals didn't have a lot of success throwing the balls to receivers anyway. And then he was inactive. Like, it just didn't work out. The timing, the rhythm, whatever. He is having an excellent training camp, and he is firmly in a position to be the number 3 receiver, the outside receiver, 3 receiver sets. With if they move Michael or Marv underneath, they like him on the right side of the field, that wide position, and he looked good again today.
Yeah, he did. He did. So now it's a guy that can perform in these situations like practice, and you're gonna want to see it obviously translate more to the game. Like, we only got one good game from Zay Jones.
Yeah,
felt like he was playing catch up for so long, and the Cardinals offense obviously trying to incorporate so many players last year. Now it's like the continuity. You hope that it also wears off. It trickles down to guys like Jones, who, what did he go, 80 yards last year total?
Yeah, 84.
8 for 84. He had half of those in the finale last year, and but he does have a nose for finding some open grass, and you just hope that it's a guy that can prove his worth of bringing him back and saying, hey, like last year, we all want to do over on last year.
Yeah.
Let's get you out there. Let's deploy you in the right way, which they believe he's a 3-position receiver. Like, when we think about the defense and like the cornerback room, let's say before Starling Thomas went down, it was a 3-guy rotation. You got your 2 starters and a guy that rotates and is going to play significant snaps.
Yeah.
I think you can use that on the offensive side, where you're going to have 4 guys that are rotating in for 3 positions for the most part.
Absolutely.
Does Greg Dortch profile more as a traditional slot? No doubt about it. But I think, like, if you move Marvin in the slot, you could have both Zay and Michael Wilson on the outside. Obviously, their larger builds is better than Greg Dortch getting out there. It's just you have versatility. Like Gannon said it today so many times. He says it a lot. They love to be multiple, I think, in every area, every facet of their team. Zay Jones gives you the ability to do so.
It just they prefer bigger receivers. They'll never come out and say that. Drew Petzing has never started a receiver, in a 2-receiver set under 6 foot by choice, right? He came here and he had Hollywood Brown, and they recycled a bunch of guys, and they signed Zay Jones knowing he was going to be suspended, and then they brought him back this offseason. And they didn't add a receiver in the draft. They supposedly were in on a couple maybe in the 2nd or the 3rd round, but this is Zay Jones' opportunity. Here's Jonathan Gannon on the 30-year-old vet wide receiver.
I do. Yeah, he's playing well. So, he, again, multiple position guy, big, fast, strong, got really good ball skills. He can get open and can catch it. Had a little fire in him the other day. He was going back and forth with a couple of those DBs, which is cool to see. Didn't go over the edge, which is good, but he had some fire in him. I love Zay. I always thought he's been a really good player, and I'm glad that now he's acclimated, doing everything that he needs to do, and on the same page with the quarterback, making a bunch of plays right now.
He's going to get every opportunity when they ask for 3 receiver sets, and we talked about this on the sideline today. Fair or not, with Greg Dortch, who fan favorite, been part of this company, part of this network.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, he's undersized, and that might be difficult for the franchise quarterback.
Yeah.
They want to pair Kyler Murray with big targets, and Zay Jones is well over 6 foot. So, fair or not, like this is I think Dortch is slot receiver, scat back, backfield, trick plays. And I'm sure that pisses Greg Dortch off because the Cardinals slapped the restricted tender on him, and he'll hit free agency for the first time in his career this offseason. I hope he does well. But, I mean, they prefer a specific style of receiver to go out there and catch passes. And Greg, and I hate to say this like as a slight, because it's not a slight to Greg. I think Greg's a really good football player. I just don't think he's a fit for what they want to do offensively. But they like his versatility, especially on special teams, and they've owned his rights for the last couple of years. And they've very much mitigated the money he could have made in free agency because they're trying to team build the best team.
Right.
So you can't knock him for that. But here comes Zay Jones, and it's like Zay Jones is going to get more opportunities than Greg Dortch this year. I feel confident in that.
Yeah, I mean, Greg Dortch, unfortunately, has to scratch and claw for every opportunity that he's going to get, each and every season that he plays. I mean, when you talk about Rodgers today, he wasn't fully committed to Dortch in the punt return, the return game. So, Dortch, I think, has the edge on a lot of these. I think if the Cardinals and they're going to play a little bit more underneath, Greg Dortch would get the nod over guys like Wilson, like Zay Jones. You get just the ball in his hands, and can you find him some open space? He's a tremendous separator. Like, that doesn't change. I think that as far as your ability to play downfield, which is kind of ironic because your offensive play caller doesn't really call plays downfield or push the issue with that. But I think underneath, like we saw against the Niners, and that's the perfect type of play calling for Greg Dortch and how he's utilized. But you take that with a grain of salt when you're going up against the Niners team that had pretty much had their reservations for Cabo by that point. Yeah, his yak ability is probably the best as far as the wide receiver room by a lot. Somebody was asking, they got mixed up in there because the clip we played, Gannon was going through a couple injuries that he had talked about. Bobby McManaman of AZ Central followed up between Gannon talking about Marv and then about international pathway program player from Austria, Val Sen.
How's the Austrian?
Yeah, he has a neck issue. It's Marv who's dealing with knee soreness, so just cleaning that up a little bit. And then also, can you confirm with the chat? Is that the real Johnny Venerable? Is that actually you chatting?
No, this. Yeah, that is me.
Okay.
Yeah, that's me.
I thought it was.
Is that okay? Can I?
No, it's great.
I like to be active in the chat while we do the show.
People to not feel like they were getting duped. Like, no, that's actually you.
That is me. That is me. That is my avatar. You can dissect it. It's a scene from Empire Strikes Back. We've talked about it before. With Darth Vader and Lando Calrissian and Boba Fett, one of my favorite screen captures in all pro sports. So
it's too small. I can't see it. It's pathetic on my part. I can't see that far.
Well, we can actually watch the clip after the show. I think I'd like to do that hand in hand.
It's not that important to me.
All right. So Zay Jones, wide receiver 3, more opportunities. But again, saying that you're, I don't know what a good analogy is for this, but it's like, saying that you're wide receiver 3 on the Arizona Cardinals is kind of like saying like you're the best, vehicle at, a rundown automobile shop. Like that's, with all due respect.
That is the least respectful way I think you could put it.
Well, here's what I'm putting out there is that the Cardinals just do not prioritize the position. So you see fantasy football enthusiasts run out and say, who's going to be, how many times have you been asked, who's wide receiver 3 for the Arizona Cardinals? It's really Michael Wilson. But people will take and dissect the depth chart of this team and say, oh, it's Zay Jones. I mean, like, what's a good year look like for Zay Jones? I think a good year for Zay Jones is, about what Greg Dortch did last year, 300, 350 yards, maybe 400. And that's about it. I think if he has any more than that, we're sitting here talking about who went down, because there should be 2 huge mouths to feed in 18 and 85. Mm-hmm. Number 14, we're super bullish on, should have about 600 plus yards. How much is left over for a quarterback that hasn't had a 4,000-yard passing season yet? Yeah,
not a lot of meat left on that bone, really at all. And like supplemental, complementary roles and guys who can do it at a high level that can fill in those, that gray area offensively. Like, that's what's gonna be kind of a separator in the tight division. Like, there is confidence in like all those guys you mentioned between Wilson, Zay, Dortch. There you go. And I think Trey Benson, as far as the run game, those are going to be your guys. Higgy Bear is going to be also a guy as far as the tight end room. Those are the guys that are going to play complement the main players as far as this offense. James Conner, Marvin Harrison Jr., Trey McBride, Kyler Murray.
Complementary roles. Perfect. The mainstays of this offense are number 6, number 1, 85, and 18, and 14.
Yeah,
That's the offense. That's who they're living and dying with this year. What about their right guard? Will Hernandez not coming back. What Jonathan Gannon had to say about Isaiah Adams that frankly was eye-opening in the best possible light. That's coming up. It's PHNX Cardinals. But first, love coming into studio because I can look at this big fancy TV and check out my branded Bills lid, PHNX style. Looking for some gear to make your brand stand apart from the crowd? Branded Bills has you covered with the best custom headwear. Start your order, and their dedicated team is going to help create the custom experience and the apparel that you need, whether it's snapbacks, truckers, fitteds, beanies, tees. Brandon Bills has you covered with performance and style. They're littered throughout the studio. I love to just sneak them for myself. But
That's
you can also get them at brandonbills.com. It's a sneak. They partner with 40 partnerships. They have 40 partnerships with universities like ASU, U of A. As a part of their campus collection. They've also partnered with us here at PHNX Sports. This is exclusive via our ALLCITYshop.com. And then, of course, they partner with the Phoenix Suns. Ever heard of them? Gotta get them partnered with the Cardinals. Local owned and operated here out of Mesa, Arizona. Head to BrandonBills.com. Use the bonus code BB. That's BB PHNX for 15% off your order. I don't wear any other hat anymore. It's Brandon Bills for your boy.
Tough to beat Brandon Bills. Love them. BB PHNX. That's the code. Also, PHNX is going to save you even more money on great stuff. How about ShadyRays.com? Check out Shady Rays premium polarized shades. I love talking about Shady Rays because it's something I wear every day. So does my co-host. So does our producer, Noah. We're rocking the Shady Rays because they are high-class sunglasses and way cheaper price point than those bigger brands out there. You lose or break them, they're going to replace them. It's as simple as that. You can get the Talons, the Classics, the Tangle Free. You got the Allure. 340,000 people have spoken online. 5-star rated by 340,000 people. That's unbelievable customer service. It's unmatched. Shady Rays. Save some money while you're upgrading your eyewear. Go out there. Teamed up with Shady Rays to bring you an exclusive offer. Head over to ShadyRays.com. Use the code PHNX for 35% off polarized sunglasses. 35% off. It's unbelievable. You're already paying a low price, well under $100. Try for yourself. Shades rated 5 stars by over 340,000 people. It says 300,000 people in the copy. We're almost at 50,000 more since we updated our copy. But that's not on us. That's on our copywriters.
Yeah, Max. We appreciate everybody.
Update the copy, Max.
Everybody hammer that like button. That's actually not me, but I appreciate the effort. All of you get us to 500 likes here on a training camp Thursday. I'm going to pull a little bit of an audible. We're going to talk about everything we still had planned, but we got enough people asking about it. They want our reaction to Scary Terry McLaurin in Washington, asking for a trade via our guy Jordan Schultz, friend of the program. Scary Terry has basically had a hold in Washington, wants more money, and for a team that has Super Bowl aspirations, which is crazy to say with the Washington Commanders, they have to pay him. We've been of the stark mindset that they will. Yet there are plenty of people here in this market, otherwise, that are saying this team needs to trade for Scary Terry. Your reaction to it, and whether or not you feel like the Cardinals would ever entertain that.
Okay, let me answer the former first. Okay, as far as was I surprised by this? Yeah, I'm absolutely floored by this. Washington, the last couple of seasons, has had more than enough cap room.
Yeah,
and are navigating with a rookie quarterback contract, which is so easy to team build. They have to be at some sort of negotiation stalemate where they don't want to go to a certain price with Terry McLaurin. And you think that there's enough blueprints out there, and I think Scary Terry might be operating off of one like closer to the top receivers like Jamar Chase and Justin Jefferson, instead of who just got paid the other day that was making a far more reasonable contract that you think like Terry McLaurin would kind of fall in line with.
Yeah.
I think when you get to this point where there's so much back and forth and it just looks bad publicly, I don't think that bodes well as far as the player putting the team first. in his requesting a trade, I think that kind of takes him out of the Cardinals conversation.
Yeah.
I'm shocked though that the Commanders, with all the momentum they had coming from last year, NFC Championship appearance, that their best playmaker by a wide margin, they can't find a way. They can't find even ground for him.
It's going to be 30 in September, 13 touchdowns last year. He hasn't had under 900 yards ever.
He nailed it. It was the Sutton deal I was thinking about. Cortland Sutton got a far more reasonable deal than, what was being thrown around by the Bengals with both their wide receivers and then, Jefferson recently.
I mean, first of all, Scary Terry famously drafted behind Andy Isabella. We're not going to talk about that. One of the best, consistent, most, wide receivers from Ohio State in NFL history. He's been great, right? You look at his numbers and you're like, yeah, you can just pencil in 1,000 yards and 8 to 10 touchdowns every year. We'd love to be living that life. I think the Arizona Cardinals will continue to be much more in the market for line of scrimmage players via trade. I think that's where they prioritize. I know that's where they prioritize because we've talked to their head coach. We've heard enough from their general manager publicly. The Cardinals are not in a business where they want to be trading for old, expensive playmakers. That's the old regime. Hollywood Brown, DeAndre Hopkins. And again, would Scary Terry help this team this year? Absolutely. Right. And you can make an argument like, hey, people's jobs are on the line. Kyler Murray, let's win. Monty Osborne, Gannon, year 3, let's do it. There's truth to that, absolutely. But there's also truth to the fact that they believe what they have in-house is good enough. We've seen it on display. I think they're trending toward being right, but that remains to be seen. That's an all-in kind of move, whereas I think it's much more realistic that this team would trade for a Trey Hendrickson and pay Trey Hendrickson because they called on Trey Hendrickson. They called on Michael Parsons and Myles Garrett at the trade deadline last year. So, just kind of reading the tea leaves, that's the position that I feel like they would ever entertain a trade for. Not a wide receiver. For an offense, we just spent 20 minutes on it in the first segment. They don't throw the football enough to receivers. They don't prioritize it. And that's a separate conversation if that's right or wrong. We're going to see if Gannon is proven right this year with doubling down on Drew Petzing. But, this is not an offense. I mean, I hated the Hollywood Brown trade over time, but I understood it initially because it's like, well, they run 4 personnel and they want to Kyler Murray's best friend and they want to have a speed receiver go with Kirk and DeAndre Hopkins. At the end of the day, does anybody think Scary Terry McLaurin would have robust numbers here? I don't think you would.
It would be an overpay for another mouth to feed. Right?
Yeah.
It would. When we talked about the offensive hierarchy already in place, where does Scary Terry potentially fit into that?
Yeah.
Because your number one priority, today's news, and we're not too concerned about today's news as far as Marvin Harrison Jr. The number one goal, I think, offensively for this team is to get Marvin Harrison Jr. in the rhythm of being the vocal point in this offense. And you don't want to disrupt that just because you get better at your Z spot. Because I think McLaurin would take over the Michael Wilson spot in this offense. Yeah. And it would be, okay, so how does your offensive hierarchy go, right? Because you want to be bullish and establish the run game with James Conner and crew. And then you've got Marv, you've got Trey. So you're looking at the very least McLaurin being your 4th option. Okay. And you're going to pay $30+ million for a season for your 4th option. It's not a fit. I mean, if the Cardinals were sitting here before the draft last season and they wanted to maybe trade down, it still wouldn't even make sense because you're paying a premium for that. And I think that Terry McLaurin is a good player. It's just this is probably the least roster that he would fit on.
I understand, though. Do you understand the people that would say, well, they have to win this year? How much more patience for Kyler Murray and this new regime? I keep calling them new regime. They've been around for 3 years. We got to win a division title. We got to make the playoffs. There are 7 playoff spots. They feel like, unequivocally, that they've done enough legwork in 3 off seasons with the players they have in-house, how the schedule lines up this year, the teams that they play, that they're going to win double-digit games and get to the playoffs. Otherwise, you would see Monty Osborne out there scrambling to add players, right? Because there would be heat to do so. We were joking about it in the press room today. It's he traded for Joshua Dobbs because his quarterback couldn't throw the football. Yeah. And he cut him. A couple days later in Colt McCoy. Yeah. Started Dobbs after 2 weeks of practice. That's not ideal.
Right.
The only way they're dealing for a receiver or anything like that is, God forbid, something happens to Marvin.
I hate
That's
to
it.
use this analogy, but every night it's a battle with my 4-year-old as far as
Wow.
eating his dinner.
Okay.
Right? And he wants special. He wants dessert afterwards.
Yeah.
Drew Petzing is my 4-year-old. I'm sorry, Drew. I apologize. You're not getting any more playmaking until you finish the playmaking that you have
That's right.
on your plate right now. And that is Marvin Harrison Jr., that is Trey McBride, Michael Wilson sprinkled in there in that run game that you love so much.
We have Terry McLaurin at home. His name is Michael Wilson. That's rude, because I think Michael Wilson could be a 1,000-yard receiver. And I said it in the first segment. Greg Dortch probably
This is not nearly a proven commodity, and that's not a slight on Mike, who I saw doing his post-practice 200.
He's
catches.
unbelievable.
Yep, on
He
the
every
jump
time I
machine.
see him, he's high pointing balls,
Yeah.
and like this offense drafted a blocking tight end in top 100. It tells you everything you need to know.
Yeah.
Drew's like, I got to have a blocking tight end. Okay, well, let's get you one on day 3. No, I need this one, and this is where we're going to take him. It's like, oh, okay, I understand what you're saying now. You want to run the ball 40 times a game. You want 2 tight ends on the field 80% of the time. Again, this is what they're opting to do. I'm not saying it's right or wrong.
Mhm.
Would it be my choice? Not necessarily. I think today's NFL, I would be more accustomed to 2 to 3 receiver sets consistently. But I've always maintained Kyler Murray had not been able to stay healthy until last year, and they kept him upright with this unit, with this scheme. So Marvin Harrison Jr. is the priority this year, front end and center. Not bringing in Scary Terry at 30 years old with a robust, bloated salary. Scary Terry means much more to the Washington Commanders than he ever would for the Arizona Cardinals. So why on earth in a critical season, they're going to pay him. This is going to be a big nothing burger of a story, but
Right.
we wanted to talk about it. And again, if we're sitting here, friends and family watching at home, if we're sitting here in the spring and the Cardinals went 8-9 or 9-8 and the passing game was not up to snuff, guess what? We will talk about free agent receivers and draftable receivers in the top 100, top 50, because we'll have had 3 years in this scheme. Maybe they pivot off of a certain play caller, maybe not, and then we'll have that conversation. But you can't begin to have anything personnel-wise at the receiver position until Marv gets his. And right now, sans today, he's been getting his at practice.
Oh yeah, and big helpings of it, and then Trey McBride too. And if you can, you would imagine that in year 3 you're going to see a big step from Michael Wilson, because the confidence, the rapport between him and Kyler Murray, it's there. There's enough. There is enough for them to do this. And you talk about the play calling, like if there isn't an uptick in that production, then yeah, I think you're going to be able to say, look back and critically say something stood in the way of these guys making a jump. We have too many talented players that you're not seeing them rise and trend in the right direction for us to not say, hey, we need to figure out something to change this so it doesn't happen again.
We teased it. We're going to talk about Isaiah Adams around the corner. That's a conversation I think the Cardinals would much rather have is, hey, Scary Terry, that's not realistic. Let's talk about a guard that we took in the 3rd round who's had a hell of a training camp. So
sicko discussion. I love it.
it's the Ultimate Tease Plus.
Yeah.
We
No
are
fantasy football trade, real trenches football.
Steve Keim could never. Plus, Bo and I are going to give you our big 5 facts that we are stating to the bank 1 week into training camp. The big 5 facts coming up. It's PHNX Cardinals. Everybody, do us a favor, drop a like, especially if you're looking to, I don't know, get out of the heat with our friends at All Pro Shades Concepts. Extend your outdoor living space with a custom fit awning, hundreds of designs and colors to choose from. They've got motorize and retract with a remote control, LED lighting, whatever you need on your patio, they've got you covered. And they keep it, your patio, that is, 20 degrees cooler. That would be beneficial for somebody like me who's in long pants day. Hundreds of colors and durable fabrics to choose from as you withstand the Arizona sun. This is not a luxury. This is almost a mandate to have All Pro Shades Concepts, especially in the summer like this. Choose from manual to motorized. They've got sealed, track, or cable shades. They can even come out, give you a free estimate if they can spruce up your old awning, right? I hear that a ton of people. I don't want a complete gut job. I like what I have. They can take care of it. Again, they're the most trusted, locally owned and operated shade company in the Valley Voted #1 by Arizona Patio Shades 2024, BBB A+ rating with over 1,000 5-star reviews on Google. They are the place to call. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. Licensed, bonded, and insured. Call 623-204-1476 or visit allproshadesconcepts.com to schedule your free estimate today.
All Pro Shades, right? All pros. The pros over there are fantastic. So are the pros over at Empire Today. Empire Today is going to help you upgrade your flooring without, the big daunting project that's looming that you don't want to tackle. No, Empire Today is going to make it quick. They're going to make it easy. They're going to make it convenient, and you're going to love your new flooring, whether it's carpeting or laminate or tiles, whatever it may be, hardwood. They're going to get you set up and on the right track and do it in a fashion that's going to be like, hey, that actually wasn't that bad. I love Empire Today. I love their professionals over there. I love their virtual floor designer because I can just get in there with my smartphone and just look at what that setting would look like with new hardwoods or whatever it may be. Save some money from the jump just by being a listener or viewer of PHNX Cardinals. Go to empiretoday.com/PHNX. $350 right off your bill. Check it out right now and go see and set up your free in-home estimate with Empire Today and their professionals. empiretoday.com/PHNX, code PHNX.
Everybody be sure, again, drop a like, become a diehard, go PHNX.com, pick up a free hat and or shirt when you do. We appreciate everybody watching, everybody hanging out at training camp with their PHNX sports gear. I love it.
We've got that Marv picture coming up, as well as an update as far as the numbers crunch in the defensive line room. Jonathan Gannon had a very interesting answer. Plus,
my question.
Kind of nauseating start to his answer.
My question.
I thought was just a little too much.
Some of the questions that are thrown out there, may or may not be from my co-host, and I'm just like, you know what, Bo? Why don't you step aside? Is what I had to say to Bo Brack. No, never. This is the best, especially when I'm there. It just ramps up the level of play, and that's what the Cardinals have been experiencing on their offensive line. So let's take you back to this offseason, and the Cardinals were sniffing around more so some veteran high-priced guards. I think they were doing that for a left guard spot, but a lot of people assumed, no, it was going to be right guard because they had to replace Will Hernandez. Well, inevitably, they signed Evan Brown to a nice little contract. He's back. He started 17 games. He's doing a nice job at left guard. Right guard is a polarized position right now because the Cardinals were on track, and we've been told this by agents and insiders, that they were going to re-sign Will Hernandez. Well, then Will Hernandez blew out his knee. He was having his best year to date. And then here comes Isaiah Adams, a third-rounder, developmental guard from the University of Illinois. We had his position coach on last year. Couldn't gush about him more. Would have been a top 50 prospect, but he had to play all over the place. Hurt his draft stock because the Illinois program was so down and out with offensive linemen. Cardinals get him last year. He plays in about 5 games to end the year. Mm-hmm. He is one of the most gifted run-blocking guards that they have seen in some time. Pass protection was rough in the preseason. So they enter this offseason, and they said, okay, we can go a couple different directions, but we feel comfortable letting this kid give it a shot. Well, he's the starting right guard now. Listen to the comments from head coach Jonathan Gannon when talking about Isaiah Adams, 25-year-old third-rounder out of Illinois last year, poised for a big start this year.
Yeah, well, yeah. Isaiah had a hell of a day, had a hell of a week last week, honestly. He probably won the day on whatever our last day was, truthfully, in my mind. He was the all-star of the day, I thought, just through team periods, through one-on-one, through individual, played extremely well.
You saw the clips we had about him going up against Darius Robinson 2 consecutive reps, and I think that nobody can argue that Isaiah held his own very well, if not won those reps outright against D-Rob. So he's going up against a violent physical specimen like D-Rob and holding his own. So it's good to hear that he had a hell of a week and won the day. I mean, outright, that he looked like the best player on the field when, Marvin Harrison Jr. has been doing what he's been doing, and Trey McBride exists, and Kyler Murray is out there. So Isaiah Adams, it's a step in the right direction. There's a ton of confidence in that organization with Isaiah Adams. They saw something, I think, back at the Senior Bowl during his pre-draft that projected as a starting guard in this league, and it got kind of expedited a little bit with the injury to Will Hernandez. And it's something just like Paris Johnson Jr. They're not going to turn back. There's no reason to turn back. You let him get better by playing. You don't just kind of create some sort of roadblock by getting a guy that's going to come in and play a year, maybe two.
He's 6'4", 315. Again, he was an older player coming out. The Cardinals like doing that. They like a lot of these guys that are, I mean, unless you're the exceptions like Marv and some of these younger players early, they like a lot of their third, fourth, fifth round picks to be like not finished products, but like you certainly know what the floor is. And again, this is somebody that I thought Brian Baldinger put it best when he was on with us last preseason and breaking his tape down, is he could be one of the best run blocking guards in the NFL. And then you watch him maul people in the run game. And then now if he becomes the kind of run blocking guard that we think, which is I think like a Mike Iupati kind of player, and can just develop into an average to slightly above average pass protecting guard, this is somebody that's going to fit right into this offense. We just spent 45 minutes earlier in the show breaking down their love affair with 12 and 13 personnel. Mm-hmm. Every reason that they're not going to trade for Scary Terry is every reason they're going to double down on a kid like this. Plus, just look at the tea leaves of the NFL. You've gotten kind of these overrated, semi-bust guards hitting free agency and making stupid money. Who got like $80 million or $100 million this offseason? The kid from Indiana.
Will Fries.
Will Fries, who is good. He's a good player, right? He's a good, solid player. I think he's like the equivalent, frankly, of like Yel DeFrohold at guard. $80 million this offseason, somewhere in that ballpark. Or you could pay a kid from Illinois to come into your program, virtually no money, develop him for a year, and then start him. You know what that sounds like? That sounds like a good, competent organization. Not an organization that's going to trade for a 30-year-old receiver and give him a blank check.
Right.
The Cardinals are just, again, I think the process is taking a while, and they preach patience. And again, I understand that, and I understand fans being frustrated. And the Cardinals did go all in 2021. And they were white hot, and then things collapsed, right? And then that was a house of cards, no pun intended, that was built on paper mache. You're putting together now a roster with the developmental program that they have. I don't know if they're going to win a Super Bowl. They're not going to bottom out like they used to. Sustainable success is real because of players like this.
You know, Will Fries' 7th round pick for the Colts back in 21. He only played in 3 games his rookie season.
Yeah.
He's a guy that played sparingly. He only started 9 games the following season, then went on to start 17. And then he only played in 5 last year, but still was able to get the bag this offseason with a pretty unprecedented 5-year deal.
Yeah.
The Cardinals were not willing to go. Again, like you said, probably to play left guard. Isaiah Adams is going to be fine. Like, this is like 2nd, 3rd round. That should be the sweet spot. That's where you should build your interior offensive line. You're not seeing it in the 1st round. You're not seeing good organizations team build utilizing, a draft pick with a 5th-year option on an interior offensive lineman, even though the price continues to go up. But if you scout, if you draft, if you develop, you're going to be able to do that on your own line. And I think a guy like Isaiah Adams he's the first one, right? He's kind of like the canary in the coal mine. Like he's the first one interior wise that they're doing it. They did it successfully so far with Paris Johnson, but you'd like him to emerge, and I think he kind of is. I think he's on the precipice of doing that, going into year 2, to where he's going to emerge and say, Paris Johnson Jr., Isaiah Adams, those are offensive line staples. And let's start to fill this in. Let's start to use some draft capital on our other tackle. And, what's the center of the future look like after Yel DeFrohold, even though he's still got a lot of games left in the tank?
Yeah, and I would give them credit for Frohold's development. He was a backup afterthought of such in Cleveland. They brought him in here, and he's turned into a top 10 center in the NFL, which the Cardinals have never had. So I think, the Cardinals have shown you they can develop offensive linemen. So, again, does that mean that they're never going to go out and spend money on one? No, they signed Jonah Williams, right? They were in on Will Fries to some extent until the money got stupid. They've tried to sign a guard the last 2 off seasons. It's just gotten too expensive. And then they can take guys like Evan Brown, who are solid vets, and coach them up and make them fit their scheme. So I think this is going to be a home run. And clearly, Jonathan Gannon does not just throw out compliments like that willy-nilly.
Why do people hate Isaiah Adams? Because they think they know what they saw in the preseason last year?
I think that they view him as blocking Will Hernandez to return, that we romanticize Will Hernandez, rightfully so. Will Hernandez is almost 30 years old, coming off a major knee surgery. This kid theoretically should be entering his prime. This kid hasn't even scratched the surface. And You're signing Will Hernandez if your starting guard goes down or if your starting guard is not very good. You've got your head coach, like, unprompted today, just saying that he was like the MVP of last week, a second-year guard from Champaign, Illinois, and people are like, better get me Will Hernandez back right now. Come on, just listen to your coach. Because, again,
hold on, Will. JG's about to answer about Isaiah Adams. Oh, we'll call you back.
It's like, honestly, Gannon will throw shade at anybody as a player and just be like, okay, here's a compliment. Here's something you need to work on, right? Mm-hmm. That's not throwing shade necessarily. That's just talking about areas of improvement. And he's just like throwing praise on this kid. And people are like, I don't know if Gannon necessarily knows what he's talking about. Are you insane? This is exactly what they were brought in to do. So again, is he going to miss a block here and there? Absolutely, right? Is he going to be perfect in pass protection? No, he's not going to. But he's 25 years old with a ceiling that, again, they feel like can be a top run blocking guard for a team that wants to run the ball. Late in the year, when the Cardinals last year couldn't run the ball against the Seattle Seahawks and the Minnesota Vikings and the LA Rams, it's like, oh, let's just insert this kid in his mid-20s with a higher ceiling that maybe can maul, Byron Young and Braden Fisk, and let's try to go up against their best with our best instead of let's sign guys off the street that are 30 years old. And that's no shot at Will, but we've been conditioned for one thing for so long as Cardinal fans. I get why we want to go back there.
Right. Well, and yeah, people want something that's more of a proven commodity. I mean, look at what the Bears did this offseason and was just, held in such high regard. It's like, oh, look at Ryan Poles, like look at King Poles just pull off these deals. And it's just like teams were willing to move off of them. The Chiefs had to make some money to accommodate, was it Smith? That was Trey Smith. And, they get Tooney out of there. They bring in a guy that the Rams were willing to part ways with. There's ways that you can get veterans because when you have a controllable guy, a young guy that you can develop or that can be on the rise, that's way more valuable. And I think that's way a better path for success.
So, we had his offensive line coach on last year. Who is the head coach of the University of Illinois? Does anybody know?
Brett Bielema?
Brett Bielema.
Yeah.
What did Brett Bielema do for about a decade at Wisconsin? Crank out Pro Bowl, all-pro offensive linemen. Year after year, Ryan Ramczyk, everybody. It was like, legitimately, if you want a quality offensive lineman, go to Brett at the University of Wisconsin program. Now he's doing the same thing with the University of Illinois. Is anybody surprised by that? So, again, it's, I have a stigma against certain universities and conferences because I just don't think great players come from them. ACC and, UMass and some other programs that have burned this franchise. I understand. It's clear what the Cardinals are doing. They respect the Big Ten, the power run game, the Bielemas, the Ryan Days, and I embrace it. As much as I knock the Tip Ryman pick, I'm sure they were watching film of he and Isaiah Adams mauling defensive lines for Ohio State and Michigan. They're like, bring those guys here. We want that.
Math to the power of Joe. I think I'm going to make the same point, but kind of rephrase it. Proven commodities is what Keim did. That didn't work. Like the strategy of building from within youth. It's depreciating assets.
Yeah,
that's what he was. That's
Band-Aids.
what he was accumulating. I mean, so that we're saying the same thing. Absolutely. When you see teams like Kansas City or teams like Baltimore, or you're going to see it in LA with the Chargers, where Jim Harbaugh emphasizes offensive line play.
Right.
You're
calls them weapons.
Yeah, they're weapons. He's going to go out there. He's going to utilize the 5th overall pick on that. He's going to utilize all draft capital to get him in there. Trust the guy that's developing him, and hopefully get him off on the right foot.
Right around the corner, Bo and I give you our big 5 facts of training camp, what we believe to be true, plus your super chats coming up. It's PHNX Cardinals.
Man, oh man, love it. Love Pure Edibles. Pure Edibles, of course, synonymous with Arizona because, of course, they originated here in our great state. They love to call over 130 dispensaries, place where you can find their unbelievable products. 130, that's right. You can find their kicks, you can find their chews, you can find their hard candies, their gummies, and Pure Effects. They are clearly labeled on the 10 of Pure Edibles that you're purchasing, so you know exactly what effects to expect. No surprises. That's the biggest, I think, complaint people have or fear when they're getting into the edible game. They're like, I had a bad experience. I thought I was going to die. I hated it. I'm never going to do it again. Pure Edibles is going to get you on the right path. They're going to keep you away from that moment. You're almost calling 911 and say, I know nobody's died from weed before, but I think I might be the first case. And they're going to say, hey, here's what we expect. Our gummies for sleep support are candies with uplifting effects derived from unique cannabinoids such as CBN, CBG, CBD, and marijuana derived from THC. Delicious. They're a candy company first, and then they dabble in that other stuff. Pure gummies designed to be ripped, bit in half, making them perfectly shareable and to dial in that exact dose. Go find yourself some Pure Edibles. Their products at the one of 130 dispensaries across Arizona.
Everybody drop a like on this video. Again, drop a like if you're saving money, maybe with our friends at Monarch Money. We talked about the Cardinals not signing big money guards. Monarch Money approves. Start managing your finances to build the life that you want. Track your spending, savings, investments effortlessly so you can focus on what matters most, making your biggest life goals a reality. Again, right now, Wall Street named them the best budgeting app of 2025. Ever heard of them? The top recommended personal finance user with over 30,000 five-star reviews. Again, track shared individual accounts, set goals together. Plus, you can even share access with a financial advisor or a tax pro at no extra cost right now. Break it all down. Get control of your overall finances with Monarch Money. Bonus code PHNX at monarchmoney.com. You're going to get half off your first year. That's monarchmoney.com with the bonus code PHNX. Half off the first year. You're already saving. Save more with Monarch Money at monarchmoney.com. Again, everybody, be sure smash the like button. Subscribe, by the way, to PHNX Sports here on YouTube. We just crossed 43,000 subscribers as we barrel our way to 50K. Get us there before the start of the NFL season. Speaking of the NFL season, we've got the Hall of Fame game going on right now. Trey Lance, opening drive touchdown to ex-Seahawk tight end Will Dissly. And
Finally clicked.
We're off and running, yeah. Worth the trade after all.
Unbelievable. What an honor. What an honor to be able to start the most meaningless preseason game. Blaine Gabbert once said that as he was the Cardinals' third-string quarterback. He's like, it's an honor. It's like, sir, you were a top 10 pick. You need to not be playing in this game.
Sir, you were a huge disappointment. Couldn't have been more disappointed.
And, you know, they paraded out the those who are about to be enshrined into the Hall of Fame, and it just makes you stop and think. A year from now, Johnny, number 11, Larry Fitzgerald will be being honored at the Hall of Fame game and then enshrined the following weekend from this year.
Do you feel like the Cardinals, there's a chance they'll play in this game next year?
I mean, I think they always like to incorporate teams of the players? Yeah, absolutely. I think that they would be in the running.
Again, that's just going to be so electric as long as, you know, I don't want to call them the crotchety old geezers that bring up the Hall of Fame votes.
Was it Kurt that was getting enshrined the last time they played in it?
I think so, yeah.
Okay.
I hope nobody snubs number 11. I think there was a poll out today that he's like 95% in to get in on the first ballot. If Larry Fitzgerald's not a first ballot Hall of Famer, I don't know who is.
Take away everybody's votes.
Yeah, I think we're done with that. I'll tell you what we're not done with. Training camp as we soldier on. Practice tomorrow, red and white scrimmage on Saturday. But before we do that, we're going to talk about 5 facts that we have come up with to share with all of you as we look ahead to this weekend that we believe are predetermined with the Arizona Cardinals. We had a lot of questions coming into training camp. Here are things we've learned thus far. Let's see it. Noah, man, the 5 facts for this team. Oh, no, it doesn't have it. Never mind.
No. He said, I don't like your facts. Wow. Most of them are fiction.
I'll read it in the chat here. So fact number 1, as we head into Cards camp, Marv and Darius Robinson have been the co-MVPs. Marv has been the offensive MVP. Darius has been the defensive MVP. Again, this is something that needed to transpire given where they were drafted 4th and 27th overall. And then all last year, you know, we had high expectations, and now they need to meet those expectations.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And Jay, by the way, I've seen a couple of your complimentary tweets or chats. Thank you so much. I don't think you can deny this at all as far as who has been the best players on each respective side of the football.
Yeah.
There are some guys that I think get some consideration outside of Marv on the offensive side of the ball and D-Rob on the defensive side, especially on the defensive side. I think Mac Wilson has been fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
He's been so good all around the football and really kind of really acclimating to a new role. But Darius Robinson, when you hear Nick Rallis talk about him and saying he's violent, he's versatile, he's this, he's that, he's been everything on full display as far as just how he's performing out there on the grass.
So that's number one. Number two, and we've covered it, Zay Jones, wide receiver 3 right now. And again, may not mean much over the grand scheme of the regular season, but we do feel like Zay Jones has earned the third receiver role. He was out there today. No Marv, base receiver, two receiver sets. He's out there with Michael Wilson.
I think what your point is, as far as wide receiver 3, as far as just the third option behind Marvin Harrison Jr.
And Michael Wilson.
Michael Wilson, and like Greg Dortch, I think is probably going to get equal share as far as snaps, but as far as the opportunities to make plays,
targets,
you'll see him for probably trend towards Zay Jones.
I mean, I've seen Zay Jones catch like 5 to 10 touchdowns over the 7-on-7s and 11-on-11s. You've seen just as many, if not more, and Greg Dortch is just not putting those opportunities as much because the Cardinals are throwing to their outside receivers. So that's number 2. Number 3, I think, and we could gush about this all day, is Will Johnson's as advertised. He's out there running with the ones today. It's just like business as usual for the 47th overall pick. I don't know how his knee's going to hold up over time. I don't think we know with any player if they're going to get hurt or not. But Will Johnson is incredibly long. He's athletic. He's got speed for days. His ball skill, when he's in those one-on-one drills as a defensive back and he high points the football, you can just tell with the ball in his hands, like he's a special playmaker. So again, it's a pick that I think caught us all by surprise in terms of that he was available. But knowing what we knew about Sean Murphy-Bunting, knowing that the Cardinals had worked out Will along with a lot of other cornerbacks, and then the fact that we were sitting here in the studio, on day 2 of the draft and he was available. I mean, it's going to go down if he's healthy, and we've talked about it, is one of the greatest picks in the history of this franchise. It's on the level of Tyrann Mathieu. It's on the level of Patrick Peterson. Like, that's the kind of prospect that you're getting if he stays healthy. If we fast forward 5 years and he hasn't missed a game and he's played then he's going to be a multi-Pro Bowler. That's the kind of talent that he has.
So smooth. And even today at half speed on a low-tempo day, and you had the first-team offense on one side of the field and first-team defense, and we're seeing a ton of Will Johnson reps, 0. He just looks really good. He just plays the part, looks the part at this stage in his career. Can't wait to see what it looks like once he starts going up against actual opponents. But I think Will Johnson is the real deal so far. So that's the third fact.
That is the third fact. The fourth is something we've touched on before. Cardinals appear poised to carry just two quarterbacks. Mm-hmm. We're going to talk about the defensive linemen here in a little bit, but there are too many good players on this team that they would rather go heavy with certain position groups than the luxury of carrying 3 quarterbacks. And I think Clayton Tune will be released and then put on the practice squad. And I think he'll be safe there. And I think Clayton Tune, as an active member of this roster, I mean, you can bring up a third quarterback on game day. That's a rule that the NFL has allowed for the last, I think, couple of years.
Yeah.
But in terms of like carrying Clayton Tune on the 53, though, I think those days are coming to an end, because I think when you certainly watch Kyler, and then Jacoby Brissett has been excellent, they're not in a position with Clayton Tune and the strides that unfortunately he has not made as a passer to be able to keep him around for, another 12-month calendar year.
Yeah.
So
I mean, Brissett upgraded this quarterback room, a tremendous amount of added value.
Yeah.
What he brings to that position group, and it just the numbers game, numbers crunch. It's unfortunate, but I think Clayton Tune is destined to rejoin this team late August, early September on the practice squad. You're going to get a good glimpse of him. He's going to get a ton of run in the preseason. Mm-hmm. It's going to be a little bit of Jacoby Brissett, but what does he have to prove either? And a lot of Clayton Tune.
Yeah, Clayton Tune's going to be able to showcase himself to the rest of the NFL. And if somebody likes what they see, they can go and pursue Clayton Tune.
Yeah.
The Cardinals love Clayton Tune, the person, and he's been a great stalwart for this team and a soldier during the rough times of 2023. But, I mean, like, you would have needed to see, as a 5th rounder, a huge jump in development. Mm-hmm. And he kind of got, last year, if we're being honest, like a second life after Desmond Ridder imploded. Desmond Ridder had one of the worst training camps we've seen, sans Colt McCoy. And he was out there throwing interceptions. His arm strength was bad. And by comparison, Clayton Tune was better. He beat out Desmond Ridder last year. So, again, that wasn't what the Cardinals had in mind. They traded for Desmond Ridder for him to be able to come in and be number 2. And this would have happened last year. So, If anything, he's playing with a little bit of house money. We're going to house money. Overtime right now here, PHNX Cardinals on a Thursday. So again, carrying 2 quarterbacks. Toon will be back. They love him. Great person. But
Clayton Toon had to endure that fateful day in Cleveland 2 years ago. The man deserves a medal.
Yeah.
I mean, that was, when you talk about thrown to the flames or thrown to the wolves.
Do I need to look that up?
Please don't.
Okay.
Please don't. For any, like that game, if for the most part needs to be scrubbed from the franchise history books.
Hang on. I got the box score. 27-0. Toon against Deshaun Watson, who was horrific that day. He was awful too. Clayton Toon went 11 for 20, 58 yards and 2 interceptions, but he was the Cardinals' leading rusher. 5 carries, 28 yards. Hollywood Brown had.
How many times was he sacked?
I'll tell you here in a second. What do you want to give the over under? I'm going to say over under 3.5.
I think it's like 5.
Okay. The Browns that day had 7 sacks.
Yeah. I mean, he was the sacrificial lamb. It was the final last-ditch effort to get to Kyler Murray.
Current Cardinal nose tackle Dalvin Tomlinson ate Clayton Toon up 2.5 times that game. He had 2.5 sacks.
When they have to, unfortunately have to give him his final walking papers, or we hope to see you back on the practice squad. Like, they need to place a medal on his chest.
Thank you for service.
Thank you for that. What you've done. We ask so much of you and more.
So Clayton Toon, temporary breakup that will result in him being on the practice squad. And then this is our last fact, and Bo, you've alluded to this. Mack Wilson, national breakout. There's a graphic. National breakout incoming for Mack Wilson. We spent a lot of time, maybe too much time, talking about who's going to play next to Mack Wilson.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas now we fast forward, and it looks like the Cardinals have tinkered with their defense to support a third safety over a second off-ball linebacker in a lot of sets, or a third corner and an extra defensive lineman. They are running a lot of individual single linebacker sets. Now, it might not be forever. Owen Papo was with the ones today, and Akeem Davis-Gaither, and Cody Simon, I think, was with the twos a little bit. Mack Wilson Sr. is going to have a huge year. He's had a great training camp, as you mentioned. I think he's going to put up one of those kind of crooked number type seasons that we've seen these linebackers, which, by the way, under Nick Rallis and Gannon, thrive in this system. I meant to ask JG this today. It's like, why is your system so linebacker friendly for guys that are athletic, but maybe don't have the notoriety of somebody else? That's why this team isn't buffoons and drafting Jahad Campbell in the first round, who's not healthy. That's why they're not consistently going off-ball linebacker in the top 32. They can take a Mack Wilson Sr., like they did with Yelda Frollo, and say, nope, we think in our system, with our coaches and our program, this guy can be great, and so far they've been proven right.
Yeah, he's got upside as far as getting after the passer. He's got some upside as far as his coverage abilities. You love how he can just go sideline to sideline. He's in his prime. He's 27 years old.
Yeah.
I mean, this guy is just ready to take off. An analytical darling. I think that this is just somebody that they're going to lean into, and they're giving the keys to this defense, and he's going to have just a massive season. 3 sacks last year, 5 passes defense. I think you're going to see those maybe double this year. Plus, get way past the century mark as far as total tackles. So Mack Wilson, think about every level now. Like we predicted like Cody Simon, Akeem Davis-Gaither, whoever it may be. But now you feel the utmost confidence that on each level of the defense, you've got a playmaker.
Yeah, you got somebody who can carry the weight, right? Yeah. Some position groups you have more than that, right? Mm-hmm. And that brings us into this next topic that I want to touch on quickly. Jonathan Gannon, I asked him today. I said, you carried 6 off defensive linemen last year. They've got much more talent.
You could just say his answer. We don't need to look at the clip.
Okay, let's pull the clip up. Let's hear it.
Guys. That's a really good call. That's a really good question, Johnny. Really good statement. I mean, yeah, we could keep 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 in my mind. I mean, really. When you're talking about roster construction, I don't like to say, hey, this is the number that we're going to get to, because you might if you're stuck on a number, that might not be the best thing for the whole roster. And I am not in the business of cutting good football players. So even if it might look a little tilted, one position, one side, this or that, you never know how it's going to go. And Monty and I always said, like, the one thing my 3 years of being on the personnel side I did really see and learn, like, trying to get the best 53 football players when that decision has to be made, that is critical to as you move forward throughout the course of the year, because it can set you back if you start keeping guys when you're cutting good football players because of numbers, you can get jammed up real fast. So we're not in the business of that, and our guys right now, they're competing for their role, but we'll keep the best 53, and we'll knowing that where the roster is right now, we're probably going to have to cut some good football players. You know what I mean? That's just life in the NFL when your roster is in pretty good shape, which Monty has done a really good job of. So, but we got some time for that. We got some time. I say it always sorts itself out. Position coaches come up. What are we going to do about this? Like, oh, these guys are neck and neck. It'll sort itself out.
Just love that question. So great.
Statement. Basically called it a statement.
Yeah. Well, that's the kind of relationship we have. Is like I say things as a question, then they become fact, just like we talked about.
Let's end the show. I have no want to go forward after this.
It is funny. In all seriousness, like we've talked about, the number last year was 6. They have more than 6 quality defensive linemen.
Mm-hmm.
They might have 8, honestly. And that the money quote, as you put it in the press room, was he's not in the business of cutting good football players. They're not going to do that to hit a quota with this team. And I look back at last year, and it's like, okay, they carried 6 wide receivers.
Yeah.
Could they carry 5? Right? They carried 10 offensive linemen. Could they carry 9 off-ball linebackers? Yeah.
Owen, go ahead. Sorry.
Off-ball linebackers last year, they carried 3, right? So you imagine that stays about the same. They carried 5 safeties last year. Could that go down to 4? Like, to me, running back 4, quarterback 2, that probably is safe. But I think you start looking at other position groups, and it's just like, are we here to check a box? Or as JG put it, are we here to put together the best 53-man roster? Because last year, we couldn't stop the run. We got run over by Seattle. We got run over by the LA Rams. It's just like when we're trying to win games in November and December and January and guys are nicked up, wouldn't you rather have a rotation that goes 6, 7, 8 guys deep? I would. And I also, and we talked about this in a piece that's dropping tomorrow, Elijah Simmons, are you making him available to 31 other teams? Are you allowing him to hit not free agency, but, practice squad to be claimed? Yeah. They have too many good defensive linemen. It's never a statement I thought I'd ever say.
Right. I mean, and it's total testament credit to Monty Osborne for getting this team into that spot and taking what was an absolute weakness and turning into a strength, a place where you feel like you have a surplus. It is going to be the toughest, I think, numbers crunch on this roster. And like that kind of bleeds into where if you are going to carry 7, and like you said, we've got a video dropping tomorrow. I encourage people to check it out. Make sure you've got that alerts, the bell set up for when it goes. Like where are you going to you're gonna have to make a tough decision somewhere else on the roster.
Yeah.
And you're gonna have to feel maybe not very comfortable with your numbers at that spot. So you're gonna have to look around and like, is that the wide receiver room? Is that linebacking core? Is that the defensive back room? Like you're gonna have to figure out where you're gonna keep an extra defensive lineman or 2.
I mean, Dante Stills runs with the 1s. LJ Collier I've seen be out there with the 1s. I mean, like here's a guy I'd never see with the 1s is Justin Jones, but everybody keeps telling me he's gonna be on this team because of his salary. I'm sorry that the team is not operating like that right now because he's not a priority. And Elijah Simmons is a backup to Dalvin Tomlinson, and Dalvin Tomlinson's over 30 years old. Like it becomes a numbers game, and Jonathan Gannon is going to sit down with his new defensive line coach and his pass rush specialist and say, who are going to help us win? Who are the best players in this group? Bilal Nichols is not making this team. He's nowhere to be found. Unfortunately for him, he's on the PUP list, right? And then it just becomes like you got 8 guys for potentially 6, 7 spots, and I think I think they're going to carry 7 when the season opens up because the group is so deep. You're not cutting Elijah. You're not cutting LJ Collier and Dante Stills. You're just not.
Yeah, you're not. But you're not keeping guys just based on salary, right? As you mentioned,
right?
And it's going to be what's their role? Can these guys play a role for us and help us win a football game? It's not. Well, we got to keep him because of this, because he's making this much. Owen, I think that's wrong. JV appearances at the media sessions is like finding a diamond in the rough. It's rare. But you love it when it happens. JG clearly does. I couldn't disagree.
It's like when you have to
more.
bring in a specialist, right? And it's like, the regulars aren't getting it done. You bring in a specialist to take care of business, and then you go about your day. You're not into that. Here, I'll make this comparison with the Cardinals' defensive line. Look, can I just say something? The Cardinals signed Sean Murphy, Bunty, Bilal Nichols, and Justin Jones. I had people adamantly tell me on Twitter, people who aren't very smart, would continually say, all 3 of them will be on this team because look what they're paying. You guys don't know what you're talking about. And I made a statement. I said 2 of 3 will be gone. Okay, well, we know one's gone already, and we know one's trending to be gone. I'm sorry. If we're sitting here in late August and Justin Jones is cut, I'm looking for apologies. Not from this group that knows balls, the nose ball, but I'm going to be go head hunting on Twitter for the people that came after this show. And we were like, these guys aren't trending toward meaningful playing time. The multiple could be cut. Let's not do that. Let's not put that up there. That was horrifying. Let's not do that.
Nobody saw that, right?
Yeah.
Okay, some behind the scenes stuff.
Never put that on screen.
No, I never want to see that again.
We got to get to these super chats. But again, what's the likelihood?
There's real photos that look like that anyway. They don't have to be photoshopped.
Let me ask you this: what's the chances that all 3 are cut?
All 3?
Yeah. 2 of them are going to be gone.
Yeah, I think that's near. When you talk about the 5 facts, I think that's factual.
The 2 of the 3. Yeah.
So
what's the chances that all 3 are gone? That Justin Jones doesn't make this team? I don't want you to put a percentage on it.
Yeah, I mean, with the injury to Walter Nolen, who I think was walking around a lot better today, you could tell he was a lot less sore with that calf. I would say less than 50%.
Let's see how he plays in the preseason.
Yeah, I think he's got a good shot at making the roster. He does. Super chat. Do we want to make fun of some teams real quick before we get to some super chats?
Always.
Saw this tweet today. Been bombarded in a good way by all of you keeping us up to date as far as the New Orleans Saints pathetic quarterback battle. I think it was K2 tagged us. Our guy Kimmy, he tagged us, and I saw this from Jeff Duncan. Jeff Duncan, who's covered the Saints, now he says for 26 years, I've seen a lot of practices. 26 years covering the Saints, and today was one of the best I can remember from strictly a competitive standpoint. Plays being made from both sides at all levels, from all over the field. Good stuff. That's not the point here. The quote tweet from Jeff Duncan himself. At the same time, Tyler Shuck might have directed the worst 2-minute drive in the history of NFL during situational work late in a practice.
They've never been down worse. First of all, as you mentioned off air, in all those years, Jeff, Mr. Duncan, that you watched, I don't know, Sean Payton and Drew Brees and those loaded teams, those weren't competitive practices. We get posed with a lot of like camp fluff.
Yeah.
His first quote was camp fluff. But then he knew that, there are cameras here.
You think he's trying to endear himself to the new coach?
Probably.
Yeah.
But there are cameras here, and people can see what Tyler Shuck is doing. So I need to be able to cover my ass a little bit. The videos that have come out of Saints camp with Tyler Shuck, I mean, I'm ready to call right now.
No, he's young and he's raw.
No, he's not. He's almost got his AARP card. He's almost 30 years old. Tyler Shuck is a bust. Tyler Shuck can't play at this level. It's obvious right now. They're going to start Spencer Rattler.
Yeah.
They didn't want to, by the way.
5 at the NFL level.
That's right. And was not picked by this head coach or this regime, even though Mickey Loomis is still frauding it up somewhere around there. They wanted to start Tyler Shuck. Just like the Cardinals, like they wanted to start Marv, they did because he earned it, right? They're going to start Isaiah Adams because he earned it. Tyler Shuck is going to be a backup, if not out of the NFL, by these videos.
Just want to give you an update as far as the Cardinals season opening opponent. And then, of course, we've kind of alluded to this throughout today's show.
Yes.
A lot of shots at the former second-round pick, 68th overall pick. Andy Isabella resurfaced today after UFL appearance.
Yeah.
Andy has resurfaced with a team that you would think with all their talent, they wouldn't need to pick him up. The San Francisco 49ers have signed Andy Isabella. What? Somebody else is pointing this out. Amir Abdullah, who they signed, is another person that Steve Keim wanted to draft.
Yeah.
But the was it the Lions that picked him first?
Yeah.
And then he took David Johnson.
He got lucky with David Johnson. Somehow Andy Isabella repping a single digit in 7, Kaepernick's old number, at Niners camp. Again, the perception of
did they just give him an old Kaepernick jersey
from
the team shop?
Says Kaepernick on the back.
It's about as many as the same amount of letters. Here, just
Yeah.
take this on. You're only going to wear it for about 2 days.
No, I listen. We talk about this all the time. The perception nationally of this team and what's actually on the field at Niner camp. There's 2 different realities, right? It's not real. It's not real life, right? It's like, to me, San Francisco right now, if they had to play a real schedule, they'd be exposed by Halloween. But they're probably going to fraud it up because Shanahan's an elite coach and they'll be around 500 and they'll be in the mix. Their team is not good. The Cardinals need to go to Santa Clara in week 3 and stomp a mud hole into them. Like, Will Johnson against their receivers, it's a mismatch, right? The Cardinals at full strength offensively should be able to go up and down on this team. So I feel so confident in this game. Both the Cardinals and the Niners are probably going to go into that game 2-0. I've never put so much money down on a game than I will in that because the Niners will probably be like minus 200 maybe. I mean, the Cardinals will get no national love. Everybody will say they haven't beaten anybody in New Orleans and Carolina, even though they'll ignore the fact that I think the Niners play the Browns. So, yeah, San Francisco to me they're coming into a season. I can't remember a bigger fraud in terms of Purdy is a fraud, McCaffrey's old, Debo's gone, Ayuk is gone. All their defensive talent minus Fred Warner and Nick Bosa is gone. Their defensive tackles are atrocious. Their guard play is not good. Yeah, I mean, it's just not a good team.
Math to the power of Joe saying if Isabella becomes a star in San Francisco, I'm going to be so pissed. Look, I think
Guys,
you're safe.
You're good.
You're not going to be mad. Nothing's going to upset you.
If he makes the team, that's a bigger indictment on San Francisco than we want him to make the team because then it speaks to the fact they got nothing.
Yeah.
They got nothing.
You guys crushed it in the chat today, killing it with super chats. Let's up the likes. What's, of course, our training camp goal?
500 likes.
Yeah, 500 likes. Let's get it. Let's start it off with Amadeus. Noah, if you don't mind, throw it up there. How's Michael Wilson? Haven't heard much of him. A lot less volume of targets from last year to this year for Michael Wilson. He was the main target getter for Kyler Murray at this point last year.
Yeah.
I think it's more quality over quantity with a guy like Michael Wilson. He's been making the plays the balls that have come in his way, but still looks good. There was talk about him with Jeff Rodgers today about fielding punts, and it's just his sure-handedness. If they're ever in a pinch, he might be a guy that they call upon. So Michael Wilson's still somebody that they got a lot of confidence in. And I think he's a guy that I think just wants to go out there and ball out in year 3 and start to maybe load up some stats instead of just kind of talk about it. Yeah,
Michael Wilson is a very gifted receiver that needs more opportunities, just like Marvin. So the unfortunate thing is Michael isn't Marvin, right? So then it's the hierarchy. We think that Marvin has a chance to be a top 10 receiver in the NFL, and Trey McBride is the best or second best tight end in the NFL. And this is an offense that runs the ball a lot. So you do the math in terms of what's left over. Math to the power of Joe, 199. Heard Xavier Weaver is a standout. What about him? Well, he's got legitimate sub 4.4 speed, and that's evident. And he's bulked up a little bit from last year in terms of he's filled out from his time at Colorado. And he's more comfortable in this offense. Second year with Drew Petzing, and he's been out there a lot with Jacoby Brissett. So I think he makes the team. Think about guys like in the past, Zach Pascal and that kind of thing. He's going to fill that role in terms of special teams. Where can he be? Gunner, I don't know if he'll ever get meaningful targets offensively because of everything we've broken down for the last 90 minutes at wide receiver. But he's undrafted. He's going to make this team. That's pretty impressive.
Ryan Walker, $2. Thank you, Ryan. Should we worry about Marvin, this knee thing?
No. He'll be fine.
Owen checking in, $10. Watching late night from the UK. What if any roster moves in terms of position groups do you anticipate after camp and before the season starts? Wide receiver, O-line, CB, PS. Can't wait for the UK Cards game, or for a UK Cards game. Not one this year,
We thought
right?
we were going to get one.
But yeah, maybe next year.
I mean, I think what's been the most vulnerable position has been corner just because of injuries. So I'll just by default say that. And if they like a veteran, they'll claim a veteran. You have been less than impressed with kind of the overall vibes with Keitrell Clark. That's not a knock on him. So, like, if a corner that they really like is available, they're not cutting Elijah Jones, I would go corner based on that exercise.
Yeah, corner. I think that's a spot. I could see them kind of interchangeable at the depth spots, maybe offensive line. Maybe a wide receiver, but it'd be tough to get them up to speed between now and the start of the season. But they're going to have the luxury of maybe going up against the team that they don't feel like they need to be full strength roster wise in week 1. Owen, do you think Gannon will have the balls to make a change at OC or DC? If it isn't working mid-season next year, he's clearly loyal to his guy, to his people.
Well, his DC could potentially be gone because he gets a head coaching job in Nick Rallis. So, and Nick Rallis is well thought of in the NFL circles, and so is Drew Petzing. But I think Owen, to change it up with Drew Petzing would probably happen at the end of the year. It would be tough unless they're just atrocious, which I don't anticipate. Any move would come after the season, and then what's the trickle down effect? Is Drew gone? Are Drew and Kyler gone? Would you bring in then an OC to work with a rookie? How would all that work? Like, hopefully those are conversations that we have to have. But they love Drew Terrell, the passing game coordinator. Would he get an opportunity to shine a little bit more? But I mean, Drew Petzing is well thought of in NFL league circles because you look at the Cardinals, it's like, oh, fringe top 10 offense, and they can run the ball and they protect well. So he's got a lot going for him. But you're right. Like he has to produce at the end of the year. He and Kyler Murray have to find a way to put on the board 3 touchdowns a game November onward. It was a huge indictment. Remember, we had stretches where they couldn't score a touchdown. It was unacceptable.
Steve Kimes Burner 199. Need me some Xavier Weaver at wide receiver 3. I think he's pushing for more PT, more snaps.
I think if Greg Dortch can't carve out a role as the season progresses, he might be somebody because he's controllable that they give more opportunities to. They tried to give him a touchdown in the finale last year against the Niners.
He doesn't have like a movable guys in his path, but he certainly has guys in his path in both Zay Jones and Greg Dortch at 2 respective positions. Tony B, 999. Thank you, Tony B. Can you guys replay the JG clip about Marv's injury? I hear JG saying it's his neck. So confused why you guys were talking about his knee. Joined late, so I might have missed something. Great show again. Tony, so JG opened it up and gave us the information about a couple hurt players that included Marvin Harrison Jr., but also included Pathway Program player, International Pathway Program player Val Sen, and mixed between telling us about Marv and another Marv answer. We played the full clip, and Bobby Mack of AZ Central asked about the Austrian player, and he said it was his neck. But as far as Marv, he confirms it was his knee, Deo Mackey, later in that clip.
Bobby Mack ruined our clip, basically. I'll go ahead and say that. Steve Kimes Burner, 199. Will rather have Elijah Simmons or Justin Jones than DJ Dallas. It's a fair point. I am with you 1,000%. I don't know. I don't think an NFL team can operate with just 3 running backs, though. That's and they love to run the football. But give me a great defensive tackle or a defensive tackle that you think can be great over a running back. But again, they run the ball a lot, so I don't think that there's any wiggle room there. And again, like Michael Carter, I think it has worth, and he can't even make this roster.
Yeah. Keeping it going. Dana Ballknower, Dana R. The Niners are trying to move their home games to the hospital cafeteria, waiting on a league response. I like that.
I do too. Yeah. This team, again, we'll see them in week 3. I'm not going to go through their schedule again, but like you seem to be pretty confident that they're going to be in the mix throughout the year. Is that just because of their schedule?
Just based on their schedule.
Yeah.
Very cupcakey.
I mean, I'm sorry. So I was wrong. So they open up with the Seahawks, then they get the Saints, Cardinals, Jags, Rams, Bucks, Falcons, Texans, Giants, Rams, Cards. Listen to this to end the year. This is the worst stretch. When the Cardinals are playing their toughest games, they're going to be playing Panthers, Browns, Titans, Colts, Bears, Seahawks. I mean, yeah, we need these teams like the Panthers and the Giants to get it together. Bears, get it together. Find a way.
Seahawks week 1 though could prove a lot
at Seattle.
About the Niners.
I don't think they're going to Seattle and winning that game.
No, I don't either. But how does it look? Is it close, or are people going to immediately realize
this ain't it?
Yeah, this ain't it. Owen, this is it. $5. Thank you so much. Can't wait for this season to see the national media actually sit up and recognize the skill and potential this team has. Justification for MO and JG.
I'm right there with you. It's going to be a sweet, sweet reckoning. They got to do it, though.
The national writers who have come through, Charles Robinson, Yahoo, Jordan Rodriguez, who was there the last couple of days. Yeah, The Athletic, taking a national role with them after covering the Rams. Jordan, very complimentary. I think the people that take the time and come here, they realize very quickly that this is a team that's going to make some noise this year.
Yeah. I mean, and the team and the people that are stuck in 2019 to 2022 are picking the 49ers to win the division and have great Super Bowl odds.
Yeah.
No, thanks for playing. Again, the Cardinals need to do it though. Like we're gushing over them because they deserve it and they look great right now, but they got to win. They got to win games when it matters. They started 1-3 last year and they finished 2-5. They got to put together a complete season. Gannon knows that. I mean, there's just no participation trophies here.
Yeah, I mean, we talked to him twice this offseason, and I think at one point you were very complimentary of his home record. Yeah. Like, well, I haven't had a winning record yet.
Yeah.
And also what I think he ended an interview at Kyler's celebrity softball game with, we need a win.
Yeah.
And so, with all the conversation that's had, like it comes down to in year 3, Armani, JG, Kyler Murray, like everybody understands what the goal is. Win football games in 2025.
Everybody knows the goal today. 500 likes here on a football Thursday. Do us a favor, subscribe here to the show, to the network here at PHNX Sports. We've had wall-to-wall coverage. Diamondbacks, busy day. Got in the house for not a lot of return there. That's tough. Be sure to check out Derek's replay from earlier today. And, of course, we're going to have full coverage of training camp tomorrow. Does Marv return, and will he play ahead of the red and white practice? We're going to be out there. We'll have a live broadcast after the game, so we'll be there wire to wire. Join us. Rep your PHNX Cardinals, PHNX Sports merch, and, of course, become a diehard. Go PHNX.com.
It was great. We saw our guy, was it Jarrah?
Yeah.
And Schaff. And so many different
Coach Starks was out there.
Yeah, Coach Stark was out there. The entire family was out there. It's great to see everybody. Noah was out there. Johnny was out there. And we're going to be out there again tomorrow. At least I'm going to be. And we're going to see, Hebe, we did talk about McLaurin a little bit. Just not a fit here for the Cardinals. If you missed any, watch it on replay. But in the meantime, have a great rest of your Thursday. We'll be back Friday. Brand new episode. PHNX Cardinals. Talk to you then.
We all silly like the mayor.